We've been home for, 2 weeks now? The boys have been out of school, but I can't think of anything funny that they've done, which I know they've done plenty of funny things. The only thing that comes to mind is for Christmas, we bought them a toy Jeep, like one of the big riding ones, you
Yeah.
know? It was a last minute purchase. Not expected, but it happened.
What do they call that? I don't remember. Not like spontaneous, but what is it like?
It was 100% spontaneous. Like a very rash, I'm doing it, decision. Which has been great. They've been driving it around. The little one can't reach the pedal, so he's just along for the ride. He's a passenger princess. But the big one has been learning to drive it. Well, he's 3. He's almost 4. So his driving skills are not the best. And the number of times that this child has attempted to not ruin my life, end my life by running me over.
He ran me over.
Yeah, well.
He ran over my foot.
Yep.
It was quite funny.
We are learning our lesson and buying things that could hurt us for the boys because this big one, he's got it out for everybody. He's determined to run you over.
I mean, to be fair, it was an accident. He didn't mean to. We were playing around, and
Well, I think he does it on purpose with me. I think he's just like, Dad is my favorite. Hey guys, it's your host Jaycee. Welcome to Queries of a Newborn Christian, the podcast where my faith is new, my questions are endless, and my curiosity could be considered my spiritual gift. Think of this podcast as Christianity 101, but with more laughs, constant detours, and a lot of confusion on my end. Grab your drink and come join me as I grow in my walk with Jesus. All right, well, we took some time off. We
did.
took about 2 weeks off of recording and working on the podcast. We had talked about doing something for Christmas, and then Christmas was just too chaotic, and I was like, I can't. I need to take a break. I need to take a rest.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good to, just take a moment and breathe.
Yeah, I was getting a little fizzled, a little burnt out.
Yeah.
From working on this. So it was good to take a break. So we'll jump back in for a couple of weeks, maybe about 3 months, and then we'll probably take another break as we PCS. So
yeah,
maybe we'll be done with John by then. Who knows? Probably not.
And if you don't know, PCS just means move.
Yeah. We're moving from Alabama to Kansas because Army. Woohoo.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So anyway, so before Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and all the holidays of the last 2 weeks, we left off on chapter 5, which, I'll be honest, I didn't even go back to look at what chapter 5 was about. I don't remember. Hold
That's
on.
awesome.
Crickets. Jesus and Jewish festivals. Oh, they healed the paralytic. That's right. And then he was griping at people because they didn't believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have all these witnesses and you still don't believe.
Basically. Okay, so today we're covering chapter 6, but, big but, I don't think we're going to make it all the way through chapter 6 today.
Don't call me a big butt.
You are a big butt. So chapter 6 will probably be broken up into 2 parts because this sucker is 71 verses long.
Now that's a big one.
It is a big one, particularly with the way that we talk.
Yeah.
We take a long time. Sorry.
This is a good one too, though. So it is. It's an okay place to just kind of sit for a minute.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. What? Give a little background though.
A little background? What do you mean?
Well, because this just starts out after this.
Well, that's what I was going back on chapter 5. That's why I gave the quick synopsis. After he griped at people in the temple in Jerusalem, this happens.
Okay. Perfect.
That's why I brought it up.
Okay, perfect.
Gosh, you don't listen to me.
After he was griping at everybody, then this happens. Okay, got it.
He healed the paralytic man in Jerusalem at the pool. And then all of the Jewish people were like, what you doing? It's the Sabbath. And then he gripes at people. And then after he finishes griping at people, he leaves. And that's where we are.
Okay.
Okay. Are you good now?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So, chapter 6, my study Bible titles this The True Passover, the Bread of Life. Chapter 6, verses 1 through 71, which is the entire chapter.
It doesn't break it up any more than that?
Well, that's what the main title of this chapter is. The Bible I have on my phone breaks it up a little bit more. In this first section of chapter 6, it calls the fourth sign.
Okay. Yeah. Can I go back?
Okay.
But if this is the fourth sign, the 3 signs before, he changed water into wine in chapter 2.
Yeah.
He healed the royal official's son, and that was in chapter 4. And then, as you were saying, in chapter 5, he healed the paralyzed man at the pool there in the temple.
Yes. So we're about to see the fourth sign. This one is full of signs, this chapter. There's at least 2.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Are you good now?
Good.
Okay. All right. Chapter 6, verse 1. After this, Jesus crossed the Sea of Galilee, or Tiberias. A huge crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was performing by healing the sick. Jesus went up a mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, a Jewish festival, was near. So when Jesus looked up and noticed a huge crowd coming towards him, he asked Philip, "Where will we buy bread so that these people can eat?" He asked this to test him, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread wouldn't be enough for each of them to have a little. And I'll stop there. So he left Jerusalem and headed to Capernaum? No, he just left Jerusalem and headed across the Sea of Galilee. I don't think they're at Capernaum yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he leaves Jerusalem. And with verse 2, the huge crowd was following him. I mean, obviously he's getting more and more popular. So that's a good sign, I would think.
Yeah.
But in verse 3, Jesus went up a mountain and sat down there with his disciples. I wrote down in my handy-dandy notebook, I'm assuming he wanted to be alone. Or he knew that he needed space for all these people that he knew were going to be following him, so he went out. So there was space to do all of this.
Yeah.
I don't
So I have this handy-dandy book. It's not a notebook, but a book. And it is called Christ Chronological.
Yes.
And in this book, it takes all 4 of the Gospels and it lines them up. So it shows each account of each thing that happened. And sometimes there's only one, like only one Gospel talks about a certain thing. But sometimes only 2 of them. This particular sign, all 4 Gospels talk about. They discuss this happening. So, but what's really interesting is when you take all 4 of them and you set them next to each other and you read them together, it gives you more
context.
Yeah, an understanding of what happened. So prior to this, so what we see in John is he's saying prior to this is what was happening. He healed the paralyzed man and Jesus had this discussion, but it doesn't talk about necessarily the disciples and what was going on with them. But when you lay them all out, the disciples had been, which he had now, the difference between a disciple and an apostle. A disciple is somebody who is following, and an apostle is sent out. So
that will play into this later for sure.
Yes. And so when they're all following Jesus, when they're learning from Jesus, he says, these are my disciples. Now, prior to this feeding of the 5,000,
Sorry, I'm laughing because could a disciple at this point basically be considered a groupie?
Yes.
They're his groupies.
But then he has imparted enough knowledge and wisdom to them. They are getting it. He feels confident. Then he sends them out 2 by 2 to go to different locations. So they go out and they have, had some experiences, and they've just come back to him at this point. And so they're wanting to talk to Jesus. So in Luke's version of this, when the apostles returned, they reported to Jesus all that they had done.
I'm not the only one struggling with his name today.
I mean,
maybe not that bad. Jerusalem.
He took them along and withdrew privately to a town called Bethsaida. When the crowds found out, they followed him. He welcomed them and spoke to them about the kingdom of God and healed those who needed healing. So when you look at it from the perspective of the apostles at this point, they were tired. They had been out working. This is like one of the first instances where they had been out doing, and they're coming back and they want to share with Jesus all the things that had happened. And Jesus, and so if you look at Mark's account, it says the apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all that they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away." So this is Jesus talking to the apostles. "Come away by yourselves to a remote place and rest for a while." For many people were coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. So they went away in the boat by themselves. Okay, so that's kind of later on. But anyways, the idea is that Jesus is saying, come on, let's step away from all the craziness. Them. Yeah, and he's like, let's take a rest. Let me hear everything that has happened. Let's have a conversation. Let's re-energize, kind of reconnect, re-energize. Right. Okay, so you get kind of a fuller picture when you take all of them and you look at them side by side. So now when you go back to what we were talking about in John, so here they've crossed the sea, keeping in mind, Jesus is like, yep, let's come over here away from the people. And it says the Passover Jewish festival was near. When Jesus looked up and noticed a huge crowd coming toward him, he asked Philip, so he's talking about food,
where will we buy bread so that these people can eat?
Yeah. So, but we were at so Jesus went up a mountain and sat down there with his disciples. So now we know why he was doing that.
He's trying to give them a moment to recuperate.
Yeah. He's like, come away with me.
Okay.
Sit and rest. Let me be present with you. Okay. So that was that question.
Yes. Okay. So he didn't necessarily want to be alone. He just wanted to take care of his disciples, but you needed the other gospels to kind of know that in this moment. Like John doesn't give you that information.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure if we have anyone listening who's newer to all of this, that Passover is in the springtime. It's before what we know today is Easter, right?
Yes.
Yes. But this is not the Passover where Jesus is going to be crucified.
Correct. This is
like a year or two earlier.
Right. This is the second mention of a Passover.
So this is probably like halfway through his ministry at this point.
Yeah.
Because he only ministered for like 3 years, didn't he?
Yeah, 3.5.
All right. So my next kind of question was, so when Jesus looked up and noticed a huge crowd coming towards him, he asked Philip, where will we buy bread so that these people can eat? He asked this to test him, for he himself knew what he was going to do. So it says Jesus knows that he's going to multiply the food that they can find. And Philip says, I'm assuming they have 200 denarii, and all he can say is 200 denarii worth of bread won't be enough for each of them to have a little. But my question is, like, you see this massive crowd coming towards you like a wave of zombies.
Yeah.
Why was his first thought, I wonder, I need to feed these people? Like, physical food. Like, obviously, everything he teaches is, spiritual food. But why physically feed them in this moment? Unless this is just another opportunity for a sign to show who he is. But, like, is that the only purpose?
Well, you got to remember, the whole purpose of the book of John is to show that Jesus is the Son of God.
Yes.
And so you have to keep that in mind, that at some point that's what's happening here, is something's going to happen to show Jesus is the Son of God. So, like I said, going back to some of the other accounts, one of them, and let me just glance through here real quick, because one of them said he saw the crowd coming and he had like sympathy, or he had empathy for them. So they had just taken this boat and they went across.
Mm-hmm.
The people walked all the way. So you figure they went north and came back around south. So that they had been walking a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees them coming and he's like, oh,
They're probably starving. They're hungry.
yeah. And this was Mark, and it said he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd.
That's a lot of people to get bread for, though.
It is.
And then I wrote down for verse 7, and it was just like a random thought of, I wonder how they got money to survive. Like, did they take donations?
Yeah. I mean, they did, but that's not the only. Like, you had fishermen there. So it's not like they went one place and they were there 24 hours, and then they went to the next place and they were there 24 hours, and then they went to they would spend time at places.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Jesus was a carpenter. It doesn't mean that he didn't do any carpentry work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he didn't. But doesn't mean that those who were skilled fishermen didn't go out and go fishing to get food. And then some of the people who followed him were wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they provided some finances there. But Judas kept all the money. Like, he was the keeper of all the funds.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that they had to have some.
Right. Okay.
Or there would be nothing for him to do.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because, you know, if they're kind of wandering around doing all of this, like, nobody's got a steady job to hold them down.
Yeah.
But, okay. All right. So moving on, verse 8. I need to stop going in the microphone. All right, so moving on, verse 8. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?" And Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, so they sat down. The men numbered about 5,000. Then Jesus took the loaves, and after giving thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so also with the fish as much as they wanted. When they were full, he told his disciples, "Collect the leftovers so that nothing is wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces from the 5 barley loaves that were left over by those who had eaten. What I wrote down was, okay, so verse 8, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. And I was just like, did the boy offer the barley loaves and the fish to them? Was Andrew like, oh, he's got food? Snatch. Like, you know, like I wonder how that went down, because I would assume that the boy offered it up. Otherwise, that would be stealing, and that was probably not a good thing for them to do.
I mean, that's what I would think would be, you know, hey, this is what I've got. I mean, you can have what I've got. Don't know if it'll help, but because I mean, you know, hey, does anybody have anything to share? You know, we're trying to collect food or see how we could feed everybody. And
Jesus says, "Have the people sit down." While they're while they're figuring out all of this food dilemma, because John doesn't say anything. Jesus is teaching them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because John really doesn't talk about the fact that he's taught them anything in this section or in this chapter of, this is what, the Mount of Olives, right?
Where they're at right now?
Yeah.
No.
No? This is something different?
Yeah. I've read it. So it says the mountain may not refer to a specific mountain. It could designate the hill country east of the lake known today as the Golan Heights. But some area like that. Why does yours say specifically?
Oh, no. Well, I guess if I had looked, it would have said. The mountain Jesus ascended was east of the Sea of Galilee, an area known as the Golan Heights. The feeding of the 5,000 is one miracle recorded by all gospel writers. But point being, John does not give that extra information. He's strictly talking about the miracle in this moment, not the extra, I don't want to say fluff, but the extra things that are happening in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of grass in that place. They sat down. The men numbered about 5,000. And what I wrote down was, okay, why sit? Then I answered my own question just now of they are listening to him teach. They're sitting, listening to Jesus talk. And then I also wrote down, the men numbered 5,000. And I'm assuming that doesn't include women and children.
Correct.
So there's probably a lot of people there.
Yeah, probably closer to like 15,000.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, if you do a wife and a child for each man on average, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. That would be about
Which is
15,
crazy that it's like the men, there's 5,000 men. Why not mention the 15, like the women and the children?
That's just how it was in the
But then
culture.
the number exponentially increases. Like 5,000 is still impressive. But if there was, we'll say 15,000 people there, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. So then it goes on to say, Jesus took the loaves and after giving thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also with the fish as much as they wanted. And I just kind of wondered, like, did the bread just like, did they tear the piece of bread off and it was like filled back in and then they tore it off again and then it just filled back in? Like, how did it happen? I mean, obviously he multiplied the bread and fish, but like, did you take one fish and you're like, you are now 30 fish. Congratulations. Like, was it like Harry Potter where they're like duplicating the bread and the fish, you know? I just am curious how it happened.
I don't have an answer for you. I know they were breaking it and there was more, and then they'd break it and there was more. It just multiplied. It just continued to multiply.
That's crazy.
And that's one of the, I don't know, terms, I guess, that of Christianese is the, like, we don't divide. So the idea of like, oh, you've got so many people in this study or whatever, so we need to divide it. No, we're not dividing it. We're multiplying because we are creating more and giving space for more.
Interesting. Well, so yeah, they distributed the bread and the fish, the barley loaves and the fish. And it wasn't, if you read verse 12, when they were full, he told his disciples, collect the leftovers so that nothing is wasted. And what I took from that was he didn't just give everyone enough, like a morsel to kind of tide them over. Like he stuffed them. Like for Thanksgiving turkey, he was just like, get that bread and fish in your mouth, like eat it. Like,
yeah.
To the point where they were full. They didn't want any more.
Satisfied. Yeah, right. They were satisfied. So, yeah, it wasn't just like here, have a few crumbs so that everybody can have enough.
Yeah. And then there was enough left over. And I wondered, when they were full, he told his disciples, collect the leftovers so that nothing was wasted. So I kind of wondered, like, why didn't it multiply to just enough? Where everyone was still full, but then, like, the food's just gone. Like, the fact that there is still 12 baskets, as it says, with barley loaves. Which it doesn't say anything about extra fish. Maybe the fish would have gone bad.
It doesn't.
It only says the bread.
Yeah. Maybe the fish were completely eaten. But there's a lot of symbolism in this part of it when you look at the 12. You have 12 baskets full of bread.
Right.
So you have the 12 tribes. Then you have, of course, the 12 apostles. So 12 is a very...
it's one of those repeating numbers.
Yeah.
12 and 40 and I don't know any other ones, but...
And so, you can see the symbolism in that. A lot of this is when you go back to, I think it's Numbers 11, the book of Numbers in the Old Testament, chapter 11, it talks about manna, the manna that God provided to the people in the desert when they wandered. And it's that idea of he gave them what they needed for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so he provided the bread.
Mm-hmm.
God did. And so it's that same idea here is like God is providing for them, but not just simply just enough. Like,
Oh, he filled them instead.
yes.
And there's more left over.
Yes. He gave them what they needed, and he gave it to them in abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas where you see in the Old Testament, he provided what they needed for the day, and the next day they had to go and gather it again the next morning. And gather it again the next morning. And he's like, this is new. This is different.
Right.
I'm providing for you, but this is a different kind of bread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they collected them. They filled the 12 baskets with the pieces from the 5 barley loaves that were left over by those who had eaten. Now, verse 14. When the people saw the sign he had done, they said, "This truly is the prophet who is come into the world." Therefore, when Jesus realized that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain by himself. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. Darkness had already set in, but Jesus had not yet come to them. A high wind arose, and the sea began to churn. After they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea. He was coming near the boat, and they were afraid. But he said to them, "It is I, don't be afraid." Then they were willing to take him on board, and at once the boat was at the shore where they were heading. That word. Okay. Yeah. So, let me see, verse 14. So yeah, what I wrote down was this was another one of those moments where they needed to see to believe. I mean, they needed to see to believe, but they're chasing this man all over the place. I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't be chasing Jesus as well, but like, what are they doing?
Well, and my thought is, I don't think that everybody saw everything. You know what I mean? Like, there were things that happened, and we only have a snapshot of all the things that happened. You know, I don't think that he set up on a street corner and people walked by and he was like, "And you're healed, and you're healed, and you're healed." And so everybody saw it. Like, he would have intimate conversations with people, and his healing wasn't just a display of power. Like, when he healed people, it was through love and care and sympathy, empathy. Like, it was an act of love towards them. He didn't come to heal physical ailments.
Right.
But it was what people were seeking. And that's why, you know, in some of the other places in the gospel, you hear him say, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Because he was trying to avoid all of this, because he's like, I came to set you free, but not in the freedom in the way that you think. And I need time. Right. I need access to be able to do those things. And there comes a point where he just can't even go into the city because there's too many people that are following him.
Right. But you think that most of them are probably following him because of the miracles he's doing, not because of who he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so he's trying to, you know, and we see it, like, I don't know if you'd call it frustration. It's just maybe even some sadness of like, it's just what it is. Like, I want you to follow me because you understand, but I just can't make you understand.
Right. So yeah, they saw the sign that he had done, and they were like, "This is truly the prophet. Yay. Woohoo." And therefore Jesus realized they were about to come and take him away, or take him by force to make him king. He withdrew again to the mountain by himself. This part, I was like mob mentality, grab him, tie him up, and be like, "You're our king now. Yay."
Yeah.
Weird. But then he ran away.
But then most people, but like in culture, like at that, especially like at this time, right? They're like, oh, everybody wants to be in power. Everybody wants to be the leader, be the king. This man is doing all these things for us. Let's make him the king. So they're thinking they're honoring him in this way. And he's saying, that is not what I want.
See, I just have this mental image of he realizes they're coming. They're coming for him. And he just throws his arms up in the air and he goes, ah! And he just runs away.
Yeah, no,
He's just
I
like,
don't think so.
ah! Just like skidoodles. He's darting. That's like football where they're trying to tackle him. And he's just like, whoa, swerve. And he runs off into the mountain.
Yeah. I don't know why they haven't hired you to do the Chosen story writing yet, because
yeah, well, literally, he like Heisman's. He's like, get off. And he runs away up the mountain. And everybody's like, that mountain's too steep. I can't follow you now.
And they're running all around it going, Jesus? Jesus?
Yep. The disciples have dressed themselves like Jesus so that they're like, you know, like, oh, it was you. I got you. Oh, just kidding. It's not you. It's him. No, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But point being, he withdrew again to the mountain by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So this time he is genuinely alone. He's not just with his disciples. He's alone.
Yeah.
Which I was wondering why. Like, why not? Like, the disciples are like hurrying him away and they all go up and escape. Or are the disciples sent down to to the sea, which we're about to see? To the sea, which we're about to see. Are they like the diversion of we're going to go this way and everybody's going to follow them and I can sneak away?
I mean, it could be that.
Yeah.
There's that, we all need that moment of kind of respite, that alone to collect your thoughts.
Yeah.
To reset, to, whatever you want to call it. And we see it multiple times in the gospel where he's like, and he went away to pray, and he went away to pray because he wanted to do it. I mean, he did it alone. It was his quiet time with the Father. And he was modeling that for us.
Right. I could see if he's gone his entire existence, like eternal existence, in the heavens,
right?
In perfectness, you come down and I feel like it's sensory overload.
Yeah.
Like you go from your nice quiet house and then your children come home and the moment they start talking, you're like, ah, it's too much.
Do you think it can be too much? And that's the hard part, whereas because Jesus was fully God, but fully man.
I feel like he has to be like a little bit of like, I'm done. Go away. I feel like God can still get frustrated.
Well, yeah.
So if God can be frustrated, then at minimum that's what happened with Jesus, where he's like, I'm frustrated. Y'all are irritating. I'm going to go be by myself. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not Jesus, so I don't know.
Maybe. And I feel like it was a time of reconnection with the Father.
Right.
And like I said, modeling I'm going to go be alone. Remember, I was saying you line up some of the other gospels with some of the stories, and it helps to make this account make more sense, because to me, what caught me was it says when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. Bye. Like,
right.
There's no...
Yeah, it was like he went up the mountain and the disciples were like, we're going to leave.
Guess we'll
There's no
leave.
like explanation of he told them, go ahead and go. I will catch up.
But if you read Matthew, it says immediately he made the disciples. So immediately following those who ate the bread, so on and so forth. And immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. After dismissing the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray.
But if this is like your first episode, just a reminder that John was written after all of the other gospels. So the assumption is everyone who's reading John already has all this other information. Has already heard.
Yeah.
That's like
truly
these
a
other
possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of the assumption, is that you've already read or heard Luke and Mark and what's the other one?
Matthew. Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke.
Those three. Yeah. Sorry, Matthew.
Well,
my bad.
even if you hadn't, it's understanding the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that with specifically John, the whole purpose is showing that Jesus is the Son of God.
Right.
And so the other one is like, I mean, Matthew, Mark, and Luke have their own purposes in writing what they write in the way that they write it, and because they're writing it to a specific audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so John it's keeping everything that he writes in the context of what's the purpose that he's writing for. So some of these details, they're not important for the purpose.
No, but again, I like information. I like details.
And that's where having it all together, we get to see a fuller picture. We get to see a bigger picture.
Right. I think I'm going to link this Christ Chronological book in our description so that if anyone listening is interested in it, you can look it up and maybe purchase for yourself. But this book has been on a journey as it is.
It's true. It's true.
And Heidi lent me this book like a year ago, maybe.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. She lent it to me about a year ago. And a couple weeks ago was like, hey, can I get that book back? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I gave this book to you. I gave it back to you a long time ago. Like a long time ago. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, I can't find it. And I'm like, well, I can't find it either. Turns out I had it. I had squirreled it
everywhere.
away.
I looked everywhere.
I had squirreled it away underneath. If y'all don't know, I really like to crochet. And I have yarn stashed throughout my house like a squirrel. And it was hiding under some yarn. And I have no idea how it got in there. I'm assuming I was trying to keep the boys away from it. But it was squirreled away, and I found it after I had already gone to Barnes & Noble to try to find a replacement. Well, they didn't have it. They didn't have anything similar to it. And I was just like, oh no, I'm a horrible person. I lost her book. And then I found it.
Well, and I was like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. Don't worry about it.
Because you bought a new one.
So then I ordered 2 on Amazon
because I was like, found the book.
Oh, I'll replace mine and get you one as well. And then within 24 hours of
literally
ordering. Yeah. You're like,
I
found it.
And you're like, I'll just give it to my daughter. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
So now we all have these books. Yay.
They really are
good, though.
It is fantastic.
It's all color coordinated, and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's cool. Anyway, okay, back on track. So evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. And I wrote down, like, obviously the disciples are leaving without Jesus. Jesus is at this moment still up on the mountain, hill, unnamed lump of land.
Yeah.
Darkness had already set in, so it's nighttime, but Jesus had not yet come to them. A high wind arose and the sea began to churn. Which, is the Sea of Galilee like? Is it more of like a really large lake where you can see the other side, I wonder?
I don't know.
Or is it like a sea, more of like the Great Lakes?
Well, you can't see the other side of the Great Lakes.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's probably, I would assume it's like that.
Well, because it says, a high wind arose and the sea began to churn. After they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea. He was coming near the boat and they were afraid. And in The Chosen, they're like, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. Ah! And they are freaking out. Like they think a ghost is impersonating him or something like that, and that this ghost is about to just gobble them all up. But he said to them, it is I, don't be afraid. And then they were willing to take him on board. And at once the boat was at the shore where they were headed. And I was like, well, hold on, let me back up. Yeah, I was like, how long is the journey? Like how long, I wonder how long they were rowing. If they were in a storm, obviously it's taking them longer to get there than it should have taken them. I can't imagine they would have set out on the boat knowing the storm was coming.
Yeah.
Or they thought they were going to be able to beat the storm. So, I don't know.
Well, I looked it up. The Sea of Galilee. It's a large lake, and it is 13 miles long and 8 miles wide.
Okay.
So they had to
doable.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, it would take a while to row across 8 miles, but there were 12 of them.
Yeah. I don't know. But what I wrote down was, did Jesus teleport them?
I saw that. I was like, interesting.
Okay, but really, it says, verse 21, then they were willing to take him on board, and at once the boat was at the shore where they were headed. Heading. I don't know why I keep saying headed.
Mm.
You can't see my hands, but I'm like, ah! he teleported them.
I mean, maybe so. I don't know.
I'm
Maybe he's like,
so confused.
maybe
He
he's
teleported
like,
them.
and we're there. Maybe they couldn't see how close they were.
Nah, he teleported. He was
But
like, we're here.
so it's really interesting when you look at the other versions, the other accounts, because what do you notice that's missing from this account?
Simon.
Yeah.
And I only know that because of
The Chosen.
The Chosen. Yes, Simon's mental breakdown is missing.
His mental breakdown. I love it.
I view it as a mental breakdown because that's probably would have been me. A mentee B.
So, yeah, it's not on there.
Because it doesn't prove or show Jesus as God. This was just Simon and his feelings.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't know because he makes him walk on water.
He doesn't make him. He lets him.
Okay, but...
Would you like for me to pick up your eyes and roll them back to you?
Whatever. This is a may you or can you?
No, I think, but it's important. I mean, it was like he didn't make him to do it. He asked and he said, yeah, you can do it. If you have faith in me,
but it was like Simon wasn't going to walk on water on his own. So he helped, like he allowed it to happen is what I'm trying to get at. I think people forget that Simon also walked on water. It's not just Jesus and the weird lizards that run across the water.
Yeah, they were probably right there with him.
It's also Simon. Yeah, there's lizards everywhere. It's like...
Because I think it's just interesting because it was like, okay, so you look at Mark's account and he says, they all saw him and they were terrified. Immediately he spoke with them and said, have courage. It is I. Don't be afraid. Then he got into the boat. Okay, so he says, have courage. Don't be afraid. Same thing with John. He's like, hey, don't be afraid. All right. But then you come over to Matthew and he's like, yeah, don't be afraid. And then all this stuff happens. Like this big parenthesis of this whole thing with Peter happened that they didn't talk about.
I kind of, with that, which I haven't like physically read that with my own eyeballs. It's just, like I said, The Chosen. But I kind of like The Chosen's take on it where Matthew and Simon are constantly feuding. They don't like each other. And so Matthew's like, I'm going to take this moment to dig on him. I'm going to show that he had a mental breakdown. Everybody see this. This is your rock. Simon's the rock of the church. There you go. He had a mental breakdown. Woohoo. Go Simon.
Well, okay. So then all this happens with Simon, right? So it says, Jesus says, you of little faith, why did you doubt? When they got into the boat, Jesus and Simon, the wind ceased. Then those in the boat worshipped him and said, truly you are the Son of God. Okay, that's how it ends in Matthew. Well, Mark, it says he got into the boat with them and the wind ceased. They were completely astounded because they had not understood about the loaves. Instead, their hearts were hardened.
What?
Yeah. And then John ends with, and they were immediately at the shore where they were heading. So there's a lot going on here.
I was about to say, I am confusion. Dun, dun, dun.
So they didn't really, okay, so going to what Mark says, and like, because they had not understood about the loaves. And feeding the 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, so let's go back to that. So all of that miracle had happened, and he didn't really explain it. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, hey, okay, these people are coming after me. Get into the boat. Go to the other side. He probably said, I'll meet you over there.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's going to start talking about it
Right.
later on. So he's going to address this eventually. But at this point in time, we go back to the beginning of this chapter where they're like, they have been out. They've been talking to all these people. They come back. Jesus is like, hey, let's go over this mountain. Well, then all the people come, and he's like, how are we going to feed all these people? And then they find some bread, and then they feed all the people. And okay, now they have 12 loaves or 12 baskets full of bread left. And
I wonder, did they keep the bread or did they give it to the people who were leaving?
that's a great question. It doesn't really say.
Because that's a lot of bread. Even with 12 baskets of bread, like I would think it would go bad before 12 people can eat it. Or 13, including him.
I don't know. I mean, if the kid had all
I was just
that,
going to say, I would think that they would give it to the poor and the needy that were there.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I would say it didn't go to waste.
Right. Well, I mean, it says collect it so that nothing goes to waste.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, what were you saying?
So there's been no discussion. Like they saw this happen, and they're just like, okay, now we get in the boat and we go back to the other side because he said he's going to go up on the mountain by himself now. So we'll just go back to the other side. And so Mark's viewpoint of this is they had not understood the loaves. They don't understand what's going on, and their hearts were hardened. So tired, confused, frustrated. What is going on? Now he's walking on water.
The hearts were hardened because he, like, just in general frustrated because they're not getting any answers?
I mean, maybe.
Because I thought hearts hardening was like, maybe I'm not understanding fully the hearts hardened thing. Because I know that it said that at one point God hardened the Jewish people's hearts for a time, or Pharaoh's heart was hardened. But why the disciples? You think those would be like the people you don't want?
Well, it doesn't say that God did it. It just says that that's the way that was the state of mind they were in.
But I don't understand. Like, you saw this miracle. Why would your heart be hardened by that?
Let me go over and see what my reference Bible says. So in Mark chapter 6, verse 34 and 35, it says, so as he stepped ashore, he saw a huge crowd and had compassion on them because they were like sheep without... Oh, wait, that's not it. What?
That was the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah, okay, I'm dyslexic. It's 53, not 35.
I'm dyslexic.
Okay. When they had crossed over, they came to the land of
Capernaum?
Gennesaret.
What?
And beached the boat.
It said they were in Capernaum.
As they got out of the boat, people immediately recognized him. They hurried throughout the vicinity and began to carry the sick on their mats. So it's right before that where it says their hearts were hardened in verse 52. And it says, Mark diagnosed a twofold problem. The disciples had not understood and their hearts were hardened. Hard hearts, which means spiritual insensitivity, characterized the Pharisees at the synagogue in Capernaum. And so at this point where they just like, I'm so tired of this. Like, these people keep chasing us around. We can't get anything done. And it's more about fulfilling the task than meeting the needs of the people.
Okay. I can see that. Because, okay, I get it. I get it because I feel like that might have been me this past week with all of the spring retreat stuff. So for some context for everyone else, Heidi and I are pretty much heading up the spring retreat that our Bible study group does here. And it's just been so much stuff. Like, you have to get all the food ordered. You have to get all the things ordered. Like, you have to get the businesses to cooperate. And, like, it's just been a huge pain in the butt. At least for me, when I'm dealing with small children, and like it's just been kind of chaotic. And I was at that point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't enjoy this anymore. I'm tired. Why am I doing this? And I think it might be about that same feeling of like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to do this anymore. This is too much. Knowing that what you're doing is going to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope people like the spring retreat we put on. I don't know.
They will.
But when you put it in that context of what you were saying, like I can understand what they might have been feeling if that's what it was. Where it's like, I know what I'm doing is the right thing and it's a good thing, but I'm so tired that I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have the same issue sometimes with the podcast where it's
yeah.
I'm tired. This is a lot of work that goes into this. And, we don't really have a huge following yet, or maybe we never will, and that's fine. The whole point is not to have 1 million followers. It's just to reach whoever is wanting to listen. But it doesn't necessarily take away from the emotional toll and drain of, or not emotional, but mental. Like it's exhausting to do all of this, and
It's still work.
It is. It is, and I don't get paid for it. It's an extra task I have added on to my plate that you have added on to your plate. But it's for a good reason, but it doesn't necessarily mitigate the fact that it's exhausting.
But the question would, because you said, well, we don't get paid for it. But would having payment make it less of a chore?
I mean, it wouldn't make it less of a chore. And I'm at that point, like I don't want to be paid. I would just like for more people to listen. So it is irritating sometimes when like the community is so tiny.
Yeah.
Because I want people to come to know Jesus and God and like find themselves.
Yeah.
But it's just something I'm personally battling with, where it's like, I don't want to be successful in the sense of this. I live off of this.
Right.
I just want it to be successful because I want it to help people.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
I digress.
But as I would say, though, I mean, I've been teaching classes for a while, and I will say, I have taught a class. I've taught classes before and walked away going, I have no idea what just happened there. And I question, was it helpful? Was it good? Did I waste my time?
Right. And I think that's a little bit of what I've been struggling with recently with this was, am I wasting my time because I'm not reaching whatever number my mind is conjuring?
That's a good word.
Conjuring.
Let me write that down. How do you spell that?
Conjuring.
Khan.
Yep. Conjuring. Concocting. Whatever. I'm telling you, my brain's just like, this word and this word would make a good word together. Here you go. Anyway, no, I think that's part of it is my brain is conjuring up a number or concocting up a number or whatever, and like what we have currently listening doesn't meet that, and so it's like, oh, am I wasting my time? And I keep trying to remind myself, and you keep trying to remind me, even if you reach one person, like you've done something.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But I'm a perfectionist. And I'm like,
Well, the hard part is to keep going when you don't see that you're accomplishing anything.
Right.
And it's true with dieting, it's true with working out, it's true with...
Don't attack me like that.
With whatever it is, right? Like you're learning a new skill. If I don't see progress, what's the point?
Right.
Why do I keep going? And when you're trying to reach people for the Lord and you're like, nobody cares. Can you imagine I think about like the missionaries in other countries, that have gone to Africa or they've gone to Asia or something, and they're just trying to share Jesus with them, and nobody's interested, or they don't show that they're interested. And how frustrating, because at least we have our comforts, and we have our friends, and we have family. And when you've made that choice to follow what God has, laid on your heart to do mission work in a far off place, you don't have those things. And then you get there and it feels like all of this is for nothing.
Right. And I am not in a far off country. I'm sitting in my bedroom right now recording this with you. And it's like, there have been times where I'm like, oh, why am I putting so much more on my plate? Like, my life is, not that I have a hard life, but like, it's difficult with 2 small children who just want to burn my house down every 30 seconds and fight and scream at each other. The little one has learned to talk well enough that now they scream at each other.
Yes, they do. I was thinking about that this morning.
Verbal arguments now. It's real irritating.
Well, so here's what I was thinking this morning. So the big one is at the point in time in his, growing up, that we were all trying to show him what sharing means, and that the world doesn't revolve around you, and you don't get everything you want every minute of the day. And so you have to learn to share. The problem is the little one is moving into this, I now have a voice, and I can promote my own wants and needs above anybody else. And so I can rip things away from you just as quickly as you have ripped things away from me. And he'll yell, no. So the big one tries to do the right thing and is like, okay, we can share. And then the little one says, no, and takes off running. And then the big one gets frustrated because he's trying to do the right thing. And the little one's like, no.
They're frenemies. Big time.
Oh, yes.
And it's a constant pendulum of like, we're friends, we hate each other. We're friends, we hate each other. We're friends, we hate each other. I love you, little brother. I'm going to rip your head off. I love you, little brother. I'm going to smack the crap out of you. Like, it's just constant. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
The point being, no, my life is not horrible. I'm not going to say it is, but it's very mentally exhausting. And then you add on all of this, and it's like, why did I do this to myself if no one listens? But I don't know. Maybe one day someone will. Even though they're not listening right now, maybe somebody will. One day.
But I just think, too, it's just a good exercise of continuing to be in the scripture. It holds both of us accountable to reading, to trying to dig deeper, to understand, to find new and different viewpoints.
Right. So, anyway, so they took him on board, and once the boat was at the shore where he teleported them, verse 22, the next day the crowd that had stayed on the other side of the sea saw that there had been only one boat. So they also saw that Jesus had not boarded the boat with his disciples, but that his disciples had gone off alone. So, yeah, all 12 disciples fit on one boat. I don't know if that's important or not, but
I don't know.
All 12 left, and Jesus did not. But, 23, some boats from Tiberias came near the place where they had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks. When the crowd saw that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, they got into the boats and went to Capernaum looking for Jesus. When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you get here? And Jesus answered, Truly I tell you, you are looking for me not because you saw the signs, but because you ate the loaves and were filled. Don't work for the food that perishes, but for the food that lasts for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal of approval on him. And I wrote down for so 22, one boat left with Jesus, 23 other boats pulled up. So these people just like took them and sailed to Capernaum. They were like, we got to follow him. Ah, steal the boat and leave? Or, I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, we don't know, but
maybe
they got on a boat and followed him.
The love boat.
Boat?
Yeah, they like got on the boat and they were going around looking and couldn't find him. And so now all of a sudden they crashed on the shore.
A
of course,
love
they knew
boat?
where they were. Yeah. You don't know that show?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm
okay,
old.
you say love boat and I'm like, scandalous.
Oh, no. It was an old sitcom a long time ago. I guess it was a sitcom. I don't know. But anyways, there was a boat. The boat crashed. The people were lost. They were lost on an island and nobody knew where they were.
Okay.
So you'll have to look it up.
All right. Swerve. Anyway, verse 24, I wrote down in all caps, give this man some peace. Because they all followed him again.
Yeah.
Like they're just chasing this man, this poor man. And like Jesus and the disciples, they're just like groupies. They're just following him like a herd of zombies, just like all over this area. And I wrote down for verse 25. So verse 25, let me read it again. When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you get here? And I wrote down, I assume they were confused because he wouldn't have been able to walk that distance in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So they were like, how'd you get here? There was only one boat and you didn't go with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're a little confused. What happened here?
But I wonder, did they tell him? Or did he tell them, I walked on the water?
No.
I walked across the sea.
I mean, it's Jesus. He's not going to be like, well, let me explain it exactly the way that you would completely understand clearly. His answer is, I assure you, you're looking for me not because you saw the signs, but because you ate the loaves and were filled.
Yeah, and I wrote down, huh? Like, obviously, the words make sense, but he speaks in like metaphors and riddles all the time. And I was like, wait.
Yeah.
What? So they didn't, or is he saying you didn't comprehend what I did? You just know that you were full. Yeah. And I made you food.
Yep.
Oh,
You're following me because I gave you bread, not because you are recognizing the signs that I am the Son of God, that I am God, that I am the Messiah. You're not seeing this. You liked the bread. So you're just coming here because you want to have more bread.
They're like ducks.
Yeah.
Little quackers. Little ducks. We're like, this one gives me bread. I'll follow this one all across the pond.
Yep.
They don't understand that you pulled the bread out of the bag. Anyway. Don't work for the food that perishes, but for the food that lasts for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal of approval on him. And obviously, in this point, he's talking metaphorically. But they don't get that because they say, what can we do to perform the works of God, they asked. They're all still very literal, which I'm like, why does he always speak in riddles and metaphors where, when he's talking to these people, they don't understand that he's not talking literally. Like, why? Why not just be straight up front and be like, why always riddles? It's so irritating.
So he's trying to take them from the physical to the spiritual. And if he goes straight into, because spiritually, blah, 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 the Jewish community, which they're already starting to try to build a case against him. Because, eventually we're going to see what happens, right? But they can't just say, we don't like you, you're fired. So he has to be subtle, which he's directly subtle with them, if that makes sense. In that he's saying, you see the physical things, but you can't follow the signs. Like you're not comprehending because all you want to see are the physical things and not see it as this could be the Messiah.
Hmm.
Because he takes it from talking about the bread, talking about being filled, and then he says, don't work for the food that perishes.
Mm-hmm.
So the regular
Legitimate
bread.
bread.
Yeah.
Right.
But the food that lasts for eternal life, which is the Son of Man, which the Son of Man will give you because God the Father has set his seal of approval on him.
And I assume the food is like the spiritual knowledge. Basically. Maybe. You're looking at me like I'm dumb, so no.
No. I was just trying to think. So, uh, how many references, how many different ways? Because let's just take bread. How many different ways is bread used in Scripture? And
All the time. And
yeah,
it's just like, why bread?
and
I
so
assume it's the manna, but why bread?
I mean, there's manna, but then you come to Passover and it's unleavened bread, and then you go into the temple, and then there's the showbread, and then there's different bread, and so now he has produced baskets of bread.
I wonder if it's just because maybe bread was like a main staple in their diet.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows nourishment.
Yeah.
You can live on water, you can live on bread for quite a while.
They need some potatoes in their life. They ain't got no potatoes.
I mean, when they were wandering the desert, they thought they needed meat, and that caused a problem.
Did it?
Yeah, you have to read about that.
I
But
need protein in my life. I'm trying to get skinny over here.
what he's saying is bread and its sustenance, it is what's filling, and you're looking at physical fulfillment, and I'm telling you I can give you spiritual fulfillment. So
Right.
that peace, that peace in our lives, that PIECE
Mm-hmm.
that is missing in
Mm-hmm.
our lives, is I can give you that
Mm-hmm.
because I am the bread that can nourish that spiritual hunger that you have.
Right. Which is where I go back to like the words and the knowledge that he gives is their spiritual bread, maybe the relationship that they should be having with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So yeah, verse 28, what can we do to perform the works of God? They asked. Jesus replied, this is the work of God, that you believe in the one he has sent. What sign then are you going to do so that we may see and believe you? They asked. What are you going to perform? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, just as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. And Jesus said to them, truly I tell you, Moses didn't give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is the one who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Then they said, Sir, give us this bread always. And that's where we're going to stop reading. Part 2, we'll start at verse 35, because I'm leaving you on cliffhanger. I mean, you can keep reading it in your own Bible if you want to, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, verse 28, what can we do to perform the works of God? They're back in this mode of like, you have to earn his approval, basically.
But understand where they came from. Because when you go back to Levitical law, if you do a thing, then here's how you receive forgiveness for the thing.
Yeah, the
action equals sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so they're in that we have to do something, tell us what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, believe. I'm telling you, believe in me. Believe on me. Believe who I am.
Which is so crazy because it's like the number of people it seems that were like, that's obscene. That's too hard. Which we'll see later, next episode, where they're like, this is too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but it's not. I mean, like maybe it is, but like, what's easier? Your brain just believing something, or all of the physical work that you'll have to do in this other side of things, you know?
But don't you think if you have a checklist, it makes life easier?
Yes. Or it can be very overwhelming.
Both.
Right.
Because I feel like it's both for them. And that's, they feel frustrated and, they have the Pharisees telling them all the time, don't do this. You're doing that wrong. You're
Mm-hmm.
not living up to. You need to make more sacrifices. You need to atone for. And they never feel adequate. And Jesus is saying, you don't have to do that anymore. Just
But
believe
that's
in
where I'm
me.
saying, why wouldn't you jump at the chance for that? You don't have to do all this. Just believe.
Because for my whole life, I have been taught this is what I have to do. And now you're going to tell me I don't have to do anything?
You know what? Never mind. I guess that's fair. Because there are days where I'm like, there's no way. I'm not worthy of anything. Dang it. I hate when this happens. Where I'm like, oh man, I'm as weak as they are. Crap.
I mean, and then it doesn't just happen to new believers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's even, you're down the road and you're a few years down and you're like, why am I doing this? Now, I literally haven't done anything. Now, I tried to be good,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't even say be good. He says, believe in me. Now,
Right.
the overflowing of your heart when you believe in Jesus and you love him and you follow him is that you want to do the good and you want to be better and you want to share him. But I'm not successful.
Right. Sorry.
You're right. You're not successful. You suck.
Sorry. That's not what I meant.
Yes, it was.
It was just a right of like, I'm listening. Uh-huh. I'm comprehending.
Right. I know.
My bad. Continue.
Oh, no, I'm done now.
Oh, okay. That's right. My bad. No, I get it. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
Especially, and I don't want to say especially for us stay-at-home moms, but like, it's something I struggle with constantly. Of I don't bring home money to take care of my family. I just stay home and I take care of my children. And, I think I was in the mental of another minty bee mental breakdown a couple weeks ago where I was like, all I'm good at doing is laundry and wiping my children's butts. And you were like, okay. Like, I'm not successful either then if that's the case. And I was like, what do you mean? It was like this whole thing. And yeah, it's hard when you live your life like allowing human constructs to define your success. But it's kind of hard not to keep getting sucked back into that when that's just the life that we live.
Yeah, it is. And I would encourage you, and I would encourage all stay-at-home moms, if you are ever curious, calculate it out. I mean, I did this way early in our marriage whenever we decided that.
What you would be paid?
Well, you take what you would be paid. So, for me, let's say it was $50,000. And then for a full year of work, $50,000. How much would I pay then because right now the kids don't have to go to childcare. So how much would it cost for full-time childcare for 2 children, plus gas, plus clothes, plus food? Because if you were working, you would have to have clothes to wear to work. You would have to have fancy coffees on occasion on the way to work and lunches, and not just like, oh, I'll grab a sandwich or whatever. Like you'll want something to get you through the day and probably a snack. Like I said, gas to get you to and from wherever, assuming, let's say you work within a 10-mile radius. So just do 10 miles, so 20 miles a day. Oh, but you have to go pick the children up and bring them back and forth. Like when you begin to calculate that out, then you think about time and how much does time cost. So we've talked about when the oldest, the big one, was a baby and you were working, and how much time he spent in childcare.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So when my youngest was born, I was still in the Army. Not my youngest, my oldest. And either me or my husband, let me back that up. Either I or my husband or I, English is hard. One of us would take him to the CDC, which is like the child care that Post has, that Army has, and we'd drop him off around 6 a.m. because we had to go to PT. We had to go work out. It was mandated. You were there or you got in trouble. And then we'd come home and shower and go right back to work. And I would be the one to pick him up most days around 5 o'clock. So my poor child spent about 12 hours a day. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and childcare.
Yeah.
And I don't think I realized, it was about a year, I think, that he spent, maybe a year and a half in childcare before I finally was able to get out and be a stay-at-home mom. And I don't think I realized until that moment, like, I'm surprised my child knows me. He spends so much time at the CDC. I don't know how he knows me. I don't know how he knows my husband, because my husband's gone even more than I am because he was a company commander at the time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's hard on everyone all the way around.
And so that's the mental, emotional toll of it. But the financial toll, like I said, $50,000 just taking
it was
that.
So expensive to send him to the CDC, but we didn't have a choice. We had to.
Well, but that's what I mean, though. Now, if you had a choice, and easy math says 48,000 divided by 12, $4,000 a month, and you're paying for childcare for two, you're paying for gas, you're paying for food, you're paying for clothes, the extra things, because there will be extra things that you have to pay for working. Somebody to clean your house more often, maybe somebody to help with dogs, somebody to help, like whatever.
Right. It's more expensive to go to work. Like, you don't just go to work and have all this extra money. Like, if you have kids, it doesn't work that way.
When we were figuring it up, for me, and this was, like I said, decades ago.
Because you're old.
I am old. I want to say we would have ended up making maybe $100 or $200 a week. And that was it. And so when you put it in perspective like that, you go, is my time worth $200 a week? Is the peace that comes in my home when my kids can just come home and be home worth $200 a week?
Yeah.
The comfort that my husband has knowing that they're taken care of, their needs are met. If they get sick, we don't have to worry about who's going to do what, miss work, take off, whatever, because they're taken care of.
Right. But I will say, just a caveat, like, it's okay if you need to send them to school for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I send my boys to school, like a preschool type thing, both of them. The big one goes 3 days a week for 4 hours a day. And then the little one goes 2 days a week for 4 hours a day. So I get time to go to my Bible study alone. I get one-on-one time with my little one on Wednesdays. And on Thursdays, I get complete alone time to go do whatever I want, which is typically working on the podcast. Sit at a coffee shop and I work on the podcast.
Well, and I say all that not to shame anybody for working.
Oh, no.
It's because there's truly a need.
Oh, I am not the type of mom who can sit at home with my children around me all the time and be like, this is great. I love my life. Everything's awesome. No. Get out of my hair. I love you, but I'm a better mom when I have a little bit of space. Yeah. Every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just doo-doo. Who knows?
But no.
Anyway, back on track. We keep getting sidetracked.
Oh, anyway. We finished where we were going to finish.
Well, kind of. Because they say, what sign are you going to do so that we may see and believe you? And I'm just like, he already gave you a sign. If you ate the bread, you already saw the miracle. And it's just another moment of These people are literally seeing it with their own eyes. We don't get to do that these days. We don't get to see it with their own eyes. They do, and they still don't believe him.
I would challenge you on that.
No, I'm always right. You can't challenge me.
Okay.
Okay, continue.
I'll just go with
what?
it.
What?
What we are saying, what you're saying is we don't see somebody handing us a loaf of bread and it's a never-ending loaf, and therefore we don't see it. But we live in a country that is wealthy. You have income in your home. You don't think about, is there going to be enough money to go buy some bread? Do we have enough denarii to go get some bread? Like, you don't worry about those things, but you don't see it. We choose not to see it because we always have a choice on how we view things. And we don't choose to see it sometimes as that blessing that God has given us, as a sign of God's continuing, what would you call it? Is continuing care for us. It is
provision.
His provision for us, because it's the paycheck that is earned. But we're not promised that that's going to continue.
Right. I guess I kind of was like, oh, what sign then are you going to do so we can believe you? And I was like irritated in the moment reading it because it's like, he already did. He already showed you. And you're still not believing him. And I guess I just mean, like, if I saw one of these miracles, like one of the however many miracles he's doing, you know, the water to wine, the healing the paralytic man, the other man's son, like this, I don't know if I'd have a question or a doubt in my mind where I'm like, how can you doubt him? How can you have any question after what you've witnessed? But
you did. You said, how did this happen?
I'm meaning like the like, not the how, but the way in which it.
Yeah. No,
you know?
I know. But still, it's that being able to just accept that he said, this is what it is, and it happens.
I'm not good at that. I need details.
And they apparently weren't either. Because
stop comparing me to them.
Because maybe they didn't have any clue. There are 5,000 people there. Men. So probably, let's go 15,000 people there. And if you're on one end and Jesus and the disciples are on the other end, and they're having this conversation over there, and they have the bread and they break the bread and then they start passing out the bread, all you know is there's bread.
Can I just say, if there's 15,000 people or even 5,000 people there, they didn't have microphones.
No.
How'd these people hear him?
Great question. Now, it says, he will often go to places and talk, like up in a mountain. His voice will carry. It will echo through. Being on the water, then it will carry out back towards the land. He's very well versed in the acoustics of nature and using what he has.
He's good with the physics.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of created him.
Anyway, okay, so yeah, they're doubting him, and they say their ancestors made their
ancestors.
Their ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, just as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. Which, again, if you're new to all of this is your first time listening in, this is him talking about, or the Jews are talking about when they wandered in the desert for 40 years. And what we were talking about earlier, where God would give them manna, which we don't really know what manna is exactly.
Manna means, what is this? Not kidding. They says it's supposed to look like coriander seed, and then they would go collect it, and then they could like grind it and then make it into like flat
Girl,
cakes.
I don't know what coriander seed looks like, okay? I see manna and I picture like white fluff on the ground for some reason.
Okay.
They're just picking up fluff. I don't know. Anyway, they gave them manna to eat, just as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. But I wondered, he gave them bread from heaven to eat, is that he as in God or he as in Moses? Because the next verse, Jesus says to them, truly I tell you, Moses didn't give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven.
Yeah.
So they are talking about Moses, but Jesus is talking about himself. Right?
Right. Yeah. So, okay. 31.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding that they're like, oh, well, Moses gave us the manna in the wilderness. Well, not them, because this is a long time ago that this has happened. But like, still.
I mean, they believe that God provided the manna.
Yes, but Moses was their like middleman.
Leader. Yeah.
Right.
He was. So there is the parallel that you look at Moses and Jesus and how Moses led the Israelites. Jesus is trying to lead the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not getting it. The Israelite people, they didn't get it. But Moses wasn't perfect. But they're drawing the parallel between the two of Moses leading. And like, just as Moses led and he showed you the law, I came and I'm fulfilling this law. God gave you this bread. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Jesus said to them, truly I tell you, Moses didn't give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven, which is Jesus. For the bread of God is the one who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. And then that last verse that we'll read for this chapter, or for this episode, is, then they said, sir, give us this bread always. And he's just like, it's me. I keep telling you, it's me. And they're just like, huh?
Yeah.
So irritating. But anyway, that was it for this part 1 of chapter 6. We'll pick up on chapter or verse 35 next week.
Perfect.
Which is like the big one. The first of the 7 I am statements.
Yes.
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 And I know that because my book says it.
Right there. The next thing, right?
Yeah. I am the bread of life.
Oh, you just shared it.
Well, I can take it out. It's a preview.
Kidding. Yeah.
It's a preview to next episode. I am the bread of life. Anyway. Yeah, that's all, folks. It feels weird to stop halfway through the chapter, but
I think it's a
one
good stopping
child
point.
who's awake and one who will be awake soon, so I have to stop recording and go take care of my children's.
All right.
So,
fun times.
Fun times. If y'all have any questions or comments, or as our chaplain says, smart alecky remarks, you can drop them in the comments or you can email. I don't know if I've ever gotten an email. I haven't checked in a while. But yeah, if y'all like the show, subscribe, share it with your friends, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram. I don't know. Tell people so that we can reach more people.
Yes.
Anyway, we will see y'all next week, picking up, like I said, part 2 of chapter 6, starting at verse 35 with the bread. I wonder, is he more of like a pita bread?
It said rye bread.
Rye bread?
Well, that was the bread that, they passed out, which apparently rye bread was like
it says
poor
barley.
People. Oh, okay, barley. It was for poor people.
Oh. He gave them poor man's bread? Come on, Jesus. Give me that
That's what they had.
Give me that Richie Rich stuff, like the 5 grains and with the cinnamon in it,
Yeah. Yeah.
The good bread.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll pick up next week on chapter. Oh my God, I keep doing that. We'll pick up next. My brain's obviously done. We'll see y'all next week on verse 35 of chapter 6. Bye, guys.
Bye.